Hi students, welcome Year 8s. Hello, my name is Juliet Alexander, Miss Alexander. I'm Head of Careers here at Stoke Newington. We have put together this event today just to help you to make your GCSE choices, to make informed, positive choices about your future. We would normally be taking groups of Year 8s to a range of universities that have very kindly allowed us over the last couple of years to bring students to. It's not possible this year, which is a great shame, but we're very fortunate that one of the local universities has given us a brilliant presentation, which you're about to witness, all about making those GCSE choices and about the careers that lead on from these GCSE choices. So I'd like to just welcome the two externals, and there's Anjali Katerina, who's just waved at you, and Jake Sharland, both from Middlesex University. With them also is Jessica Louise Hall, who's a student. And so she's just a little bit older than you. I hope you won't mind me saying that. And she'll be able to explain her journey to you as well. So welcome to those three. Thank you very much for giving the time today. All right, students, listen up. And if there are any questions at the end, we will have a little bit of time at the end. I'm now going to hand over to Anjali. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So hi everyone, and we are from Middlesex University. Me and Jake work in the education liaison and outreach team. So we work with lots of students from year 7 to 11, and we try and show them, talk to them about GCSEs and introduce them to higher education. Today, we're going to look at how to choose your GCSEs and how to make really good informed choices, and then kind of what's next, so what goes on past your GCSEs and post-16 study, and how that can then lead into your future pathways and your options for the future. So the aim of today's session is to understand the range of GCSEs out there and where they can lead to, and then to also look at the different pathways that can lead into different careers in your future too.
Hi everyone. So this year is the first year we've done this virtually. I actually came into Stokey last year to deliver this to Year 8 students, and you know it's doing something face to face is very different. So hopefully you'll be able to get something out of this, like they got something out of it last year. So this is about your GCSE options for starters, and it's about talking you through not choosing your favourite teacher or going and picking religious studies because your best friend did it. Okay, we just want to reiterate that everyone is different. Some of you will be amazing singers, amazing sports people. Some of you will be amazing mathematicians. Okay, everyone is completely different, and everyone likes to learn in different ways. So do you like English and drama because you get to talk and listen? Are you a natural chatterbox? Or do you like design and technology because you are really good with your hands and you're really good at making things? All right, so working out how you like to learn can help you choose your subjects. And we're going to talk through some other bits that will help you. All right, so your strengths and your weaknesses are really, really important. And so are your likes and dislikes. All right, they are really important, and it's not going to be a surprise to you that you're more likely to get better grades in a subject that you find more interesting or that you enjoy more. All right, so things that fly by, the double PE might be something that you look forward to all week. You might do really, really well in it, or you might love something, or you might hate double RE. It might be something that you loathe all week. Start to think about things like this when picking your options. Okay, so think about things that you enjoy. Next one, please, Anjali. But also what you are good at. And now that some people might think the two things are exactly the same, they aren't. All right, you might enjoy something and be absolutely rubbish at it. Yeah, or you might not like something, or you might dread double maths, but it might be your highest graded subject. All right, they're not the same thing. So what do you get best marks in? And it might not necessarily be something that you study already, but you might know that you're something that you're really good at. All right, so think about that when choosing your options. And lastly, just before we move into our next activity, what do your friends and family and the people that know you best think you're good at? All right. Some of us, I'm sure, have overinflated opinions of our own abilities. So I might think I was the best footballer in the year at school, but I wasn't, if you ask my friends and family and my parents, okay? So it's really good to speak to those who are closest to you about what they think you are good at. And let's be serious, all right? Let's get, like, your friends and family might not know what you are best at in terms of academically. So your teachers who have to mark your books and talk to you through bits and pieces every single day, they might be the best people to speak to. So you might want to ask Sir and Miss what they think you're best at, okay? So just to recap, we've talked about you've talked about things that you enjoy, things that you're good at, and what other people think that you're good at. So yeah, thank you, Anjali.
So we're now going to do a quick little exercise where you can match up the job title to the degree and GCSEs, so we can see the pathways of what you choose at GCSEs and which pathways that can open up for you and the different career options that are there. So this is the first quick activity we're going to do. It's only going to take you a couple of minutes, and I want you to match up the job title to the degree type. So what degree do you think a doctor did? What degree do you think a data analyst did? This will only take you a couple of minutes, and then I'll show you the answers.
Just remind everyone who hasn't got a pen and paper in front of them to go and quickly grab one now, because there will be a couple of things that we're going to ask you to do, okay? It won't take long. There's not going to be lots of writing. It'll be very, very quick. But if you can grab a pen and paper, which I'm sure you've all got at home, go and do that now. Okay, Anjali?
Yeah, shall we go through the answers?
Yeah, let's try and get through it nice and quickly because we're a bit pushed for time.
So if a doctor would have probably done a medicine degree, a data analyst would have probably done a degree in maths, a television producer would have done a degree in media and communications, and a teacher would probably have done a degree in education. So now we're going to do another quick exercise where we're going to match up the GCSE subject to these job titles and degrees. So this will also take you only a couple of minutes to do. Also, it's really important to remember that this isn't all set in stone. So your teachers may have not done an education degree. They may have done a degree in history, for example, and then done a PGCE, because whilst they were doing their degree, they realised they wanted to become a teacher, so they could do that conversion course, so they are able to then teach their favourite subject. So it's just also important to remember that it's not set in stone. You can also do other courses, which means that you can then go on to do your dream degree, dream career. So hopefully you've had a chance to now look and match up the job titles to the degree in GCSE. So I'm going to reveal the answers. So a doctor who did a medicine degree probably did their GCSEs in sciences and would have, even though it's a core subject, they probably really enjoyed it if they wanted to then go on to be a doctor. A data analyst would have done a maths GCSE and maybe even a further maths GCSE as well. A television producer probably did media studies or something quite similar to that at GCSE. And then a teacher probably did could have done, for example, a geography GCSE, because you don't have to have done something specifically in education. Like I said, you can then do broader subjects and then specialise later.
So let's just have a look now about your about you as an individual, about what you might want to choose for yourself. And you might look at this list, and I know at Stoke Newington they have blocks where you have options of the blocks, and sometimes that might be quite confusing. But I think where to start from, a really good place to start is looking at yourself. Okay, take a step back and look at the things that you like, the things that you're good at, and the things that you enjoy. All right. So on your pen and paper, I want you to write the letter A. And what we're going to do is we're going to write down out of 5 how many of these things that you like and enjoy doing. Okay, so just give a score 4 out of 5 or 3 out of 5 or 0 out of 5 if it's something that you're like, oh no, I hate all of those things. Okay, so A, do you like solving problems? Okay, do you like being active and working outdoors? Do you like using tools and machines? Do you like building things? That could be anything to do with Lego. It could be building forts. It could be helping fix bikes. Or do you like making and fixing things? As I said before, do you like fixing bikes? Do you like, if someone, rather than take it into a shop, would you rather fix and play with it yourself? So list down how many out of 5 you like or enjoy of those things. Next one, please, Anjali.
So the same thing again, now write down B and just jot down the ones that you are really interested in and you really enjoy doing. So do you enjoy designing and displaying things? Do you enjoy being on television? Do you enjoy writing a book? So this doesn't have to be just a really long novel. Do you like creative writing, writing poems, writing short stories? Do you like playing in a band or playing any musical instruments? Or do you like doing a makeover, so on yourself? Do you like making over your room? Would you love to redecorate your room or doing a makeover on your friend? So quickly jot down which one of these are your interests.
Okay, let's move on to C. You know what to do by now. Do you enjoy helping people? All right, that could be friends, it could be family. Do you enjoy sorting out arguments? Are you that person in your friendship group when everyone's always arguing and shouting at each other, or something's happened, that they go to you to sort out the arguments and diffuse the situation? Do you like showing people what to do? Are you the type of person that likes to help people out with their homework, or if someone doesn't understand something in class? Do you look like looking after people? That could be the same as helping people, but you know, it's very similar. And do you like doing voluntary work? That could be doing anything. It could be volunteering to help people at a local homeless shelter, or it could just be putting up your hand when anyone needs any help at all.
So now same thing with D. So do you like finding out how things work? Do you really enjoy experiments? So in your science lessons, do you really like using the Bunsen burner or doing any experiments? Do you like researching and testing ideas? If you had a chance to design a new computer game, would you jump at it? And is that something you would really enjoy? And do you like doing calculations and going through a really long algebra problem, for example? Is that something you really enjoy doing?
Okay. And what about E? Organising parties and social events. I know some people will be, you know, really into that sort of thing. Are you an entrepreneur? Do you like buying and selling things? Do you dream about running a business? Do you constantly enter competition to see what you can win? And do you find yourself campaigning for change? Things like that. Are these things that really interest you? And the last one.
And finally, F. So do you enjoy making plans? Are you the person in your friendship group that's always saying, right, this Saturday we're going to go into town, this time after school we're going to go to the park? Are you the person that's always on the computer or using a calculator? Do you like arranging things over the phone, for example? Or do you like putting your books in the right order, whether that's alphabetically or within genre, or maybe even colour coordinate them? And do you like organising money? Do you like to make sure that you know exactly how much you're going to spend when you go out and when you're doing fun things? Now that we've gone through all those different sections, I want you just to take a moment to look back at that piece of paper and look back at A, B, C, D and see if you've got 4 out of 5 for one, 0 out of 5 for one. Just take a moment, because now we're going to look at how those interests that you've chosen will then correspond to different GCSE subjects, and this will hopefully help you make a really informed decision about which GCSE subjects you enjoy, you'll be good at, and you should then choose.
Okay. Yeah, go on, Angela.
So I'd like you just to quickly think on a scale of 1 to 5, how confident you feel in choosing your options for your GCSEs, with 5 being the most confident and 1 being the least confident. Right now, how confident do you feel in choosing your GCSE options? So I'll just give you a moment to do that.
And we'll hopefully be asking you again later on to see if it's changed. Okay, so let's have a look now at your results. All right, so if you got mostly A's, so if you got anything 3, 4, 5 out of 5 in A's, then you seem like a practical person. Okay, you need to look for options which can use your practical skills. All right, so doing something active, working with your hands, trying different types of projects, those are the things that you should be looking at doing. All right, and the GCSE options that you should be looking at choosing are things like design and technology, textiles technology, physical education, or perhaps graphics, things like that.
If you got mostly B's, so 3 out of 4, 4 out of 4, even 5 out of 5, so this sounds like you're really creative. So it's really good to look at options where you can express yourself, you can work on new ideas, and you can show off that creativity. So the GCSE subjects that might be right for you could be textiles, film studies, art and design. I know that you do some like creative eye media, music, drama and graphics. So quite creative subjects where you can really show off your ideas.
If you if you're mostly C, you're a very social person. So you need to look for options where you can try and find out more about people and how society works. And I know that you at Stokey, you run GCSEs like, thanks Anjali. I know you have citizenship, modern languages, art, religious studies, so RS, and then geography and history. Things like this will be something that suit you a little bit more and should be things that you should gravitate towards when picking your GCSEs.
If you got mostly D's, it looks like that you like investigating things. So it's really good to look at the different GCSE options where you can use your number skills, you can use your thinking skills, and where you can just dive that little bit deeper to find out why things are the way they are. So the GCSE subjects that might suit you best are like history, geography, and obviously the core subjects like maths and science. But you can you might have the option to do further maths or even like triple science or further sciences as well. So these GCSE subjects might be best suited to you.
And we're nearly there, but it's E's, you sound like an enterprising person. Well, I nearly stumbled over my words there, but you know, you might be an entrepreneur, so you need to look at options where you can use your energy, communication and numbering thinking skills to try and improve the world, because you have a big wide net of things that you can draw on. Okay, so things like citizenship, computer science and modern languages might suit you and the way that you think.
And finally, F. So if you've got mostly Fs, it seems that you're really organised, which is a really great skill to have. So it's really important to look at GCSE options where you can use those great organisational skills, your planning, your communication and computing skills. And it seems that you really like enjoying to learn about systems and structures that keep the world working. So it's good to look at options that have those type of skills embedded in them. So these GCSEs might be citizenships, maths and further maths, computer science and history. So these subjects might be best suited to you. So now we're going to go back to that scale. So before we started looking at whether you are mostly A's, etc., I asked you to write down a number on a scale of 1 to 5 of how confident you felt in choosing those GCSE subjects right now. So hopefully going through that a little bit more and thinking about your interests and what subjects then correspond to those interests, hopefully you've become more confident in choosing your GCSEs. But don't worry, you've still got a little bit of time. You can still talk to lots of different people, and we'll go through the people that you can then get advice from as well. But just for now, I want you to pop down a number on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being very confident and 1 being not so confident, on how you feel right now in choosing those GCSE options.
Now, remember, this isn't an exact science. Obviously, there are many options that you can choose. And to be honest, you might be looking at what we've just put in front of you and say, hang on, I got mostly A's, but I don't like any of those subjects. OK, this is just giving you an idea of how to start thinking about things. And you know, it of course is totally up to you. But remember some of the advice that we gave you. Now we're going to give you some more top tips that will also help you start to think about these things a little bit more. So yeah, in terms of advice, I know Miss Alexander spoke about it earlier, but here are a list of things that of places where you can get some advice. We would say that the top 2 are the ones that we would go to first. OK, so talk to your parents about what they think you are good at, what they think you might do best at, but also your parents, your teachers, your teachers see you every day, and they have, and believe it or not, they really do care about you and about your GCSEs and about where you're going to go with your life. So ask your teacher, ask your favourite teacher if you need to, what they think your best GCSE subjects will be. But there are also some other websites there that I will send to Miss Alexander that she can send out to you guys too. Okay.
So our top tips with choosing your GCSEs is sometimes it's easy to think about, it's easier to think about what you don't like. So if there's lots of things you do like, it's easier to go and think the other way. So go, actually, I really don't like investigating stuff. So that means that you can remove those options and think about the subjects that you do like and make a better informed choice. It's also sometimes easier to think backwards. So with some of those resources that we mentioned there, so especially like Prospects and Career Pilot, you can look at the different jobs and careers that are available and then work your way backwards. So if it might say that if you wanted to be an engineer, for example, you had to have a certain degree, which means you have to take certain A levels. So if you work your way backwards from what kind of career or job you may want to do in the future, you can think about what best GCSEs will help to get to that pathway. And also what's really important is not to choose GCSE subjects just because your friends are choosing them, because at the end of the day, you're going to then have to go to those classes and you're going to have to study hard for those subjects. And if it's a subject you don't really enjoy, you're probably not going to do as well in it and you're going to dread those classes. So choose GCSE subjects that you want to do. And if your friends are doing them as well, that's just a plus.
So what's next? Now, as we touched on, as Angeli's just noted, you will be going into your A levels or your other options, so apprenticeships, BTECs. There are lots of options that we were going to talk to you about a bit now, but we're a bit stuck for time. So what we'll do is maybe we might be able to do it next year or in another session. So what we're going to do now, instead of talking you through our Pathways tool, we're going to send that to Miss Alexander, who will send it to you guys and to your tutors so they can pass it on to you. But what we're going to do instead is we're going to talk to Jess, who is a current student at Middlesex, and she's going to talk you through her journey to where she is at Middlesex. Hi, Jess.
Thanks for that. Jake. My name is obviously Jess. I'm in my final year at Middlesex. I'm actually doing a law degree, which is not where I thought I would definitely be this time when I was in year 8. So I'm going to talk you through vaguely how I picked my GCSEs and the route I kind of took from there to A level to degree level. And I understand that you might be struggling with choices and you might not. So hopefully my experiences can kind of influence you and give you some kind of guidelines of where to start. So when I actually picked my GCSEs, I settled on French, geography, history, business studies and RE alongside obviously my core subjects. So it was a nice big mixture. The starting point for me, as you would have just heard, was finding out what I didn't like. So I knew when I was in year 7 and year 8 that I really just didn't like art because I couldn't draw for the life of me. So there was no point in me taking that because I wouldn't get good grades. And I also didn't like PE because exercise is a thing and that just wasn't for me either. So with this knowledge, I was left with a pool of options that I still had and the subjects that I did relatively like. But instead of just picking them for the sake of picking them, I went into further detail about each option. So for example, you can kind of look at the things that you'll be studying on each one or how it's assessed. I'm someone who doesn't really mind exams or coursework, so it wasn't really a big major factor for me, but you might thrive better in coursework rather than exams. So I would definitely think about that when deciding what options to take. I also asked my parents and teachers for advice. You may even have siblings that have done the option already. I know that I helped my brother when he came to pick his. That might be really useful when kind of talking about which ones to pick. But obviously, as you've just heard, please let the final decision be yours. You may have friends suggesting you to do the same subjects as them, but really you need to pick something that you're just going to enjoy studying for the next couple of years. Further down the line, when the workload gets a bit heavier, you'll appreciate enjoying the subjects and looking forward to the lessons rather than dreading them and not wanting to go. I also think it's important to think about your plans for the future. If you pick one of your subjects and then looking on to the kind of ideas of careers that it could lead on to you, that's a really good way to start. When it came to picking my A levels, I only picked subjects that I studied at GCSE because a lot of the content does really overlap. But it also gives you a good chance to prepare yourself into some good grades, and you'll have some base knowledge when you come to do your A levels, but also give you a good idea of where to start when it does come to looking at careers. So obviously I did eventually settle on law and knew I had to go to universities to kind of get the right qualifications for that. And my GCSEs still did help me in this. So for example, I studied GCSE history, as I said, and our coursework was on prison conditions and looking at prison reforms. And that definitely sparked my interest in the area and definitely started my love for the subject. But I never did law at GCSE or A level, so don't think what you pick will be set in stone. I also changed my mind various times. I didn't want to do law. I wanted to be an optician and did some work experience in there, and then realised that I couldn't deal with eyes and contact lenses. So changed my mind and then jumped between various careers. So if you have no idea what you want to do after your GCSEs, that's perfectly okay too. I really didn't. So I just chose a mix of things that could give myself as many different options as possible when it came to actually finally settling on a career and going to university. But my ultimate last tip, and probably the most important one, would be try not to get too stressed about your subjects. Everyone around you on this call is probably in the same boat, and it's obviously a tough decision. It's probably the first one that you're going to make that's really going to affect your career and your life choices. But once you've made a list, like using some of the tips that we've been giving you today, and settle on your final subjects, you'll really feel so much better going forward. So do the plenty of research, think about future career prospects, and speak to other students like your friends and see what they're planning on doing and their kind of career ideas. But I just think it's important to pick subjects that you will enjoy and that align with your interests, because you really will thrive in them. But I wish you the best of luck, and I hope some of my tips have been helpful in making your decisions a little bit easier.
Thank you, Jess. Thank you so much. And yes, thank you for listening. And it's been really great talking to you. I'm sure that there's some other bits that we've missed out today that we would like to pass on to you guys. But what we will do is we will send it to Miss, and hopefully she will be able to feedback some of the things that we have missed in this presentation. And yeah, if there are any questions for myself, Anjali, but probably most importantly with Jess. If there are any, any of you got any really questions for Jess and ourselves, then please let us know.
Jake, Anjali and Jess, thank you very much. Really appreciated that, and I'm sure our students will learn from it as well. Jess, I love the idea that you talked about work experience, because our students do work experience in year 10 and year 12 as well, and it's a really good opportunity to find out what you like, and even more importantly, what you don't like.
What you dislike. Yeah, I couldn't deal with contact lenses, and that was the big turning point of me, that becoming an optician just wasn't for me.
Yeah, a lot of students want to go back to their primary school because they love little kids. Then they get there and they realise they don't like children, you know. But listen, if there are any questions, Nick, I'm not sure. I don't know how we would access the questions. Are students able to put them?
They are able to. There have been a couple of questions, mostly around wanting to hop back to what to do if you have mostly A's. I advised Sirak there that the presentation will be made available later on, but maybe if somebody could circle back to what happens if you've got mostly A's on that initial quiz.
Anjali, have you got the?
Yeah, I can definitely share my screen again. And then
okay, that was the mostly A's, yes.
Yeah, mostly A's at practical work. So look for options that you can use your practical skills. So using your hands and working on different types of projects. So there would be things like design and technology, textiles technology, physical education, and perhaps graphics as well. I know you guys do.
Yeah, yes, we do. Thank you. And I really love the way Jake and Anjali, you've picked up on all the option subjects as well, because you've covered all the ones. Thank you. I appreciate that our particular students will be looking at. Are there any other questions, Nick? I don't know why I can't see them. Anything else in there?
No, that's it. But if any other students have got questions, they can click on the little Q&A icon and type them in.
If you have, please do that now. And if you don't have time to do that now, then certainly send them to me, and I could share them and get answers to any of those questions. And don't forget, your teachers, ask them about their pathways as well. It's really interesting to find out all the different things that the teachers have done. You know, I know a few secrets, but actually I'm going to give you a little bit of, I won't call it homework, but speak to one of your favourite teachers or tutors and say to them, what did you study at university? What GCSEs did you choose? You'd be fascinated at some of the replies. You really will be. Nick, you look as if you're seeing something.
Yeah, we've got, thank you. Well spotted. Yeah, we've got another question about, does anyone have any advice on how I might consider future income sort of to support my family moving forward when looking at a career?
Can I just say very quickly, we've got something called LMI, okay? And that is information about jobs and how much money you earn in them, how much availability there is in those jobs, when the next big jobs are coming up and stuff like that. And I share that with your heads of subject every 3 months or so when I get them in, and it's also put on the website. Jake, does that make?
That's a really good place to start, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. I know Miss Alexander does a lot with employability and careers at the school. So if you have any questions like that, I'm sure she's a good place to start.
Okay. Any others?
Yep, we've got. There are two here. Let's go for the. Could you just give us a quick overview of how work experience might work and link back into sort of career path choices?
Well, so work experience in terms of in university is quite a wide net, because some subjects need you to do some work experience beforehand. So if you were going to be a veterinary nurse, for instance, you would have to do work experience working with animals. If you're going to do education and become a teacher, you would have to do a bit of work experience in schools. But I think on the whole, as much experience as you can get out in the world of work is always a really, really good thing. Whether that's, I know in year 10 you do work experience, and I'm sure in your summers and in year 12 you might do work experience too. So the most you can do the more you can do, the better, really.
Yeah. And it's not just the work experience that you would do in year 10 and year 12. For example, Jake mentioned there that you might be interested in working with young people, either in pediatrics as a doctor or a nurse, or as a teacher. If you do something even like babysitting, yeah, that's still an experience of working and understanding young people. You know, if you're interested in gardening, you might help your parents or your grandparents or a neighbour with gardening. So it's all those bits of information. The important thing is not just to do it, but to make sure you remember.
Yeah.
So
when
it comes to writing about it, when you're going to university or to college, everybody forgets. So put it somewhere, write it down so you don't forget.
Yeah, I was just going to say, before I became a teacher, I actually went to Stoke Newington and did some teaching at Stoke Newington before I became a teacher for my work experience. So that was something that I did before I did my postgraduate certificate in education. Because
of course you're an old boy, aren't you, Jake?
I did go to Stoke Newington. Yes, I was actually in 8S. That was my tutor group.
There you go, and look where he's gone now.
Yeah, look what I'm doing now.
You two can achieve fabulous things. Are there any more questions there?
Yeah, there are two questions. One about sort of what requirements are there to do languages to get into university. So I suppose that's what courses might require languages as a pathway. And then does anyone have any thoughts on what sort of activity, what sort of topics and themes you might do in film studies?
There's not actually a prerequisite to, or you don't have to have a language for most courses at university. I would say that it's very important in life to have a language, but in order to go to university, there's not necessarily a need to have languages unless you are studying a language at university, or you are planning on doing a year abroad. It will be very useful, and a lot of our courses have the option of studying a year abroad during their study, during the 3 years.
That's right. I mean, one of my nieces did international relations, and because of that, she also did Spanish. So you can do something called a double. That's the best way of explaining it, a double degree. So she did international relationships, which is law and et cetera, et cetera. She also did Spanish. She spent a year in America, where Spanish is one of the predominant languages, learning, spending a year there, just finding out about stuff. Somebody asked about media studies, which is where I started a million years ago. And my A-levels were French, German and English, because I love languages. But it's a bit like teaching. You can do one thing or like law, in fact, as Jess said, you can do one thing like history or something like that and still jump into another subject later on. The most important thing to do is to do a subject you like, so you get brilliant grades, and then you can use those brilliant grades to jump into virtually anything. There are certain careers like medicine and veterinary science and so on, and architecture, and a couple of others I can think of, that need certain subjects all along the way. But for the majority of them, it's just decent grades in those subjects.
And we talk about that in our Pathways tool that's on our website that I will send to Miss Alexander so she can feed that back.
Right. Have we overrun time now?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yes. Listen, I just want to say thank you to Middlesex University, to Jake, to Anjali, and also to Jess. And thank you, students, for attending today. And I hope you've picked up something, and I hope this has helped you to think and make informed choices about your GCSE options. And thank you very much to all the tutors and teachers who also joined in. Have a fabulous afternoon. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.